How's it going, ladies and Bruce? It's Unbothered Sixkilla, and welcome back to the Divine Deception. We are currently still on the haunted ship, where we found blood, and bodies, and death, and it's been my favourite so far. I'm really enjoying it. Let's carry on, shall we? I didn't want to waste any more time than necessary, and eventually I found another door. One that looked far less rusted and far more official than most. This was the place. Should I really be doing this? My mind flashed back to the body I'd just seen. I need to see for myself what was going on. As slowly as silently as I could, I opened the door. One creak and I might be dead. Luckily inside the room there was darkness. At least, where I was. So I was able to take a step in and still be hidden. To my benefit there was some boxes of who knew what nearby. The corners of the room were engulfed in darkness. On the other hand, the centre of the room was lit up by a single dangling light. It was clearly set up for dramatic effect. It worked. The floor of the room was covered in plastic wrap, and that plastic wrap covered in blood. Too much blood. So much blood. In the light I saw two people. One was a man in his early 50s, if I had to guess. He actually looked pretty good, and his silver hair fit him well. Maybe I only said that because his face is the only part of them undamaged. Most notably, his arms were tied behind his back. But not just tied with rope, he was tied with some sort of wire. A wire with multiple exposed sections, and it was attached to a machine with knobs and lights. I had to imagine it was set up to electrocute this guy. But why resort to that? After all, he was bleeding from his knees, and now from one shoulder. They were gunshots. Using context clues, a pistol had probably been fired at him at point blank, multiple times. By who? Well, by the intimidating figure in black, of course. I didn't call him a man, even though that's probably what he was, for a reason. He gave off an aura of not a man, but of a demon. From head to toe, he was clothed in black. Boots, leather pants, a jacket, gloves. But most frighteningly was the mask. Not some sort of ski mask. This is a sleek mask made with black glass. It was a mask that inspired fear. It was a mask of Thane. I knew who this person was. This person was a nightmare standing. Even without the pistol he held in his hand, he would be incredibly intimidating. His mere posture, it oozed carefully calculated composure, mixed with colossal confidence. And then, with a modulated voice emitted from a speaker by his mask, he spoke. In the dark, twisted mechanical voice that made my heart plummet. I know there's more. The fact that you're trying to pretend that's not the case, well, it makes me sad. Thane continued to pace. How long had they been at this? What even was this? Look, I'm not going to bullshit you. We both know how this works. We both know you're not going to get out of this alive. But that doesn't mean you don't have a choice. If you keep playing brave, you'll end up just like the girl. You saw her expression. That was a nasty way to go. She was alive for most of it. And you know, I could have made it much worse. The only reason I didn't make it even worse for her was because at least she gave me something useful, even if it wasn't the full course. So that's where you come in. Give me the full course. Thane didn't say it in a pushy or demanding or even threatening way. He stated it plainly. And what followed was a painful pause. One that literally made my stomach cramp up. Why? Why are you so insistent on making things worse for yourself? I mean, the girl I got. But you? You've been with us for long enough. I would have thought you'd known us better. Better to take the wrong side like this, at any rate. I mean, look at this. Seeing what you've seen, do you really think the opposition stands a chance? If your bastardly scheme to take from me actually had a chance of working, well, I could at least understand it on a logical level, but it's very obvious who's going to come out on top. So what's with this useless charade of honour? You abandoned all of that when you turned traitor. How was the man reacting to all this? I found his facial reactions to be a big hint, so I tried to lean further beyond the boxes I hid behind. I'm not a very good torturer, am I? Maybe it's just because I'm not used to talking this much. I like to be the silent type. Maybe I'm not good at the negotiating part of this. But at the very least, I know I'm good at the torture part of this. Thane was clearly in the process of something. However, I never got the chance to learn what that something was. Because as I was leaning around the boxes, the ship encountered a particularly large wave. It rocked and caught me off balance. I ended up stumbling out of my hiding spot. Out into the light. Thane's helmet turned and soon enough he was facing me head on. For a solitary magical moment, nothing happened. The two of us just stared at each other. Well, I stared at him. His masked face was pointed in my direction. Neither of us particularly wanted to break this little stalemate. The bloodied man certainly didn't want to say anything. If I'd had it my way, Well, we just sort of, I don't know, stay like this? No end in sight, just kind of locked in this one moment where nothing was happening? Unfortunately, this magic moment didn't last forever. It lasted for about 2.5 seconds. Afterwards, without even moving his head, he raised the arm that was holding his pistol up. The gun was squared firmly at the shivering man's head. I saw the guy's mouth open, obviously about to shout out some sort of plea, or failing that, perhaps a spiteful epithet. Whatever he meant to say, he never got the chance. A second later, the pistol recoiled and I heard a splattering sound. The next second, I saw a burst of blood spit into the air from the victim's forehead. The man stayed on his knees as the blood fell from the air to the floor, and then, a good 3 seconds later, the man slowly collapsed onto the floor. I was so shocked by this little display of life's fragility that I hadn't focused on Thane's action during these critical seconds. He was reloading the pistol and moving his arm in a new direction. Shit, fuck, shit! Immediately I pushed off on my right foot and began to lean left. I didn't have time to get a proper running start. I recognised that it was more important to stay moving instantly. This instinct of mine was proven 100% correct a few moments later. The bullet Thane had sent in my direction ended up missing me by God. Inches. I couldn't say for sure. It sure as hell felt like inches. I could feel the breeze of it, or at least it felt like I could. It was indisputably the closest I'd ever come to death. An experience like that would usually be traumatizing. It had forced me to really stop, take a minute, re-examine what I was doing. And sure, trauma was almost certain to come later, but luckily there was something in my brain that acted as a big blocker to all those traumatic impulses. The giant newly erected sign flashing, "Get the hell out of there!" in big bright lights. The brief hop to the left quickly transitioned into a full-on sprint. In seconds I was moving faster than I ever had in my life. Felt like I was running at world record pace. Again, hard to tell how much of that was just my imagination. Regardless, fear of death tended to put some real spring in your step, it seemed. Time also seemed to keep pace at the slow motion speed it had been ever since Thane had laid eyes on me. I was able to think crystal clearly about every small movement I was making. Which is good, seeing as I was coming to a choice earlier than I thought. Leaving this torture room? Where to go? Left, right, or straight? Straight was immediately out. Looking further down, it took a little bit until the next place to turn into another corridor. Thane would likely get to this door in time to have a clear shot at my back. So then, did I go left or right? Right was the way I came from, I remember that much. My gut wanted to try and get back to the top of the ship. But hold on a sec, how much of that would really help? It's not like I had an escape plan up there either. More importantly, this sort of instinct was so natural it was probably obvious. If my biggest priority was to put distance between myself and Thane, I should be choosing options that would lose him easily. He couldn't know too much, but he'd probably expect me to retreat back up the stairs. So then left had to be the answer. Those thoughts passed through my brain in the course of a second, and the next I jumped off my right foot again, curving left. I got about 5 steps forward before realizing my mistake. Thane would think I ran to the right, huh? Not if he could hear me running to the left, dumbass. At a sprinting pace I was moving, in an empty ship like that, he could very obviously hear my movements. I also heard a footstep, a second ago, a lot closer than Thane should have been. So clearly he'd been sprinting after me when I turned around. I didn't have time to transition to a slower, stealthier pace. At this point, I'd already committed to going left. To going the direction I had no idea about. Damn it. Time might have felt like it was moving slowly, but that was an illusion. Clearly, I still wasn't thinking things through. Well, in for a penny, in for a pound. Further down the rabbit hole we'd go. I kept running down this left corridor, and soon enough, I was presented with another juncture. Left or right? This one was easier. Thinking about the structure, going left again was moving towards the direction of the torture room. It's possible it would just lead me to an entrance to that room. So, to the right this time. Not long after that was another choice. Left, straight, right. I could hear that Thane would soon come to the last juncture that I reached, which would give him a straight shot. I had to just keep running, so left once more. At the next juncture I went right again, then right again. This place was a fucking maze. Who builds ships like this? What was the purpose? True, I passed the occasional map of the floor. Plenty of closed doors too. Sometimes there were cargo boxes left sitting in the hallways. But with Thane so on my ass, I couldn't pause a single moment to take things in like this. Instead, my brain jumped to a horrid thought. Why did Thane shoot the bloodied man first? I like to think I would have dodged either way, but it felt as though in my dazed state, if he'd shot me first, he would have killed me. So why attack that guy first? Think about it logically. Either way, it looked like he gave up on whatever he was doing at that point. He just wanted to kill us both. So why kill him first? Yeah, good point, he's not going anywhere. The only thing that made sense was that he knew I couldn't escape. It was only a matter of time before he caught me, so he might as well finish his current job first. That the bloody, beaten, barely conscious man was more of a threat than me. Was that right? No, shit, I was giving him too much credit. He was a fucking demon, sure, but he was still a man. Probably. He might have just been caught off guard. Didn't think things through. It was this thought process that struck me as I made a wrong turn. I was confronted with a straight hallway, with a gate right in the middle of it. A gate with a lock on it. Fuck. Wait, the lock was left unlocked. Jackpot. Maybe. I ran forward and struggled with the gate opening. Open, damn it, open! After a bit of a struggle, I got through, and from the other side, I pushed down on the lock. Right as I was securing it, Thane turned the corner. Fuck! Behind me were a couple more cargo boxes. Instantly, I dove for cover behind them. And by dove, I meant literally, both feet leaving the ground. I credit this odd escape approach for my survival. Had I simply run for the cargo boxes, he would have shot that. The shot that fired at me almost certainly would have landed. When I slid behind the boxes, I instantly turtled up. It was just instinct, that. Didn't want to leave any part of me exposed. In this fetal state, I heard 3 more shots. 2 flew overhead. One impacted the boxes I was hiding behind with a dull thud. I could feel one move closer from the shot, now touching me. But it didn't go through. Whatever was in the box, the bullet had held the bullet firm. After the 3rd shot, the bullets temporarily paused. I used this opportunity to reorient myself from a fetal position to a crouching one. I looked at my surroundings. On the other side of the hallway, I saw a big metal door with a wheel on it, leading into another room. Looking up, I also saw an opening to a vent. Cool, I guess. Fuck, no good place to go from here. I heard 2 shots impact metal. Sounds like they were hitting the gate. Is he trying to shoot off the lock? Fuck, that's totally what he's trying to do. Luckily, I didn't hear anything fall to the floor. It's not like the pistol had infinite bullets, right? I doubt he wanted to take pot shots all day. The cargo boxes weren't far from the lock either. This guy assumed that I was caught helpless, but he couldn't be reckless either. For all he knew, I had a gun on me. Well, at this point, he might have ruled that possibility out, but something like a knife? He had to factor that in. So if he approached the lock to try and get it off, the chance that I could try rushing him and stab him through the gate was a real fear. What seemed to be a certain dead end for me actually held a glimmer of potential. How would this demon respond now, huh? The ball was in his court. I had a few seconds of nothing but breathing. Then, like a miracle, I heard the sound of footsteps retreating. No way. It couldn't be. As I heard them turn a corner, I risked a very, very brief look behind the boxes, prepared to pull back at the slightest sign of danger. I was right. Thane had left. Seriously? He's probably going around the other way to meet you on the other side. Had he just given up on me? It didn't seem likely. Maybe he was going to do something drastic. Maybe I should use this opportunity to run the opposite way. No, that was stupid. This could easily be a trap. The moment I tried fleeing from this dead end, he'd shoot me from around the bend. More importantly, just because I locked that gate didn't mean I could unlock it. Ironically, I'd actually trapped myself in this shitty situation. So what now? I'd gotten that far in my thoughts before I saw Thane walking back. Shit. Immediately I pulled back, hiding once again behind the crates. I expected a bullet to whiz by once more, but no, I retreated successfully. That was probably because I saw Thane holding something in his hand. Key? I only got a glimpse of it as I instantly retreated at the sight of him. What did he grab? It was quickly answered by the sound of pouring. A hose? A hose? Then I saw from my vantage point, black liquid slowly sliding down the floor. Black liquid? Oh, fuck off. No goddamn way. Did he really have a hose of gasoline just lying around? The fuck was up with the man jet? No, the time for complaining about outrageous circumstances wasn't now. Now was the time to panic. It was clear. Thane was in no rush. He was going to very patiently wait for the right opportunity, and then he'd exterminate me. I was a trapped rat, and he was going to slowly corner me until I suffocated. I could just picture that black void of a helmet now, expressionlessly standing there holding a pipe, watching the gasoline slowly spill closer and closer, waiting joylessly until it was time to light it up. Focus. How the hell could I get out of this one? As far as I saw it, I had 2 options. The first was the door. A couple of problems with that option. For one, my guess was that it was a dead end. It'd be a room with no other exit, and I'd just be trading one place to make a last stand for another. For another, it almost certainly was the move Thane expected. He could hold a hose with one hand and a pistol with another. It was all the way on the other side of the hallway. I didn't like those odds. Third problem, I had no idea whether or not it was locked. From my angle, I couldn't tell whether or not it had a lock on it. But with the door behind the gate with a lock on it, it's plausible it could also have a lock. If I rushed over there and couldn't open it, it would be 100% game over. So then, time for a risk. The odds of the other plan working were a lot lower, but there was a way higher yield waiting for me if I could pull it off. Which option had better risk-reward ratio was obvious. I needed a heavy object. Well, what were in these boxes? Hesitantly, I tried to pry the lid off the top box on the pile I was hiding behind. It was easier than I thought. Blindly, I quickly scrounged for something. I found something hard, so I grabbed it and pulled it behind cover. A rock? A weirdly shaped, weirdly coloured rock, but a rock nonetheless. What possible circumstances could have led to a box of weird rocks being placed haphazardly on a pile below deck of a ship like this? Whatever. No time for hypotheticals. I only played a bit of basketball back in middle school, but I was decently fit, and I was desperate. So here goes nothing. Instantly I threw the rock with all my might at the vent on the nearby ceiling. Before I could even see the results of this, I popped up and began to jump off the pile of boxes I'd hid behind. Please. Yes. Turns out the vent covering was really old, real shitty. For whatever reason, I was able to knock it loose with that rock. And with my leap from the boxes, I grabbed a hold of that opening. Not wasting a second, I pushed up. Pow! A bullet was fired. It wasn't until I completely pulled myself into the narrow vent that I realized that the gunshot wasn't a complete miss. My pants had a tear, and the front of my right leg was very faintly beginning to bleed. Holy shit, the bullet had literally skimmed me. Fucking hell, how was I still alive? I was still alive. Right now I was in a cramped vent away from Thane. I was alive. 2 shots whizzed through the bottom of the vent, both narrowly missing the position I'd scooted towards. Yeah, it might be a little too early to celebrate just yet. With more energy than I'd ever had before, I began to scoop for my life. Oh, it's over? On that? Damn, fuck cliffhangers. I mean, yeah, okay. I sort of did make the cliffhanger. I'm allowed to get mad at myself. I do so frequently. Back to the scene. That was a real nail-biter. For the back half there, I really thought the stack of cards would end that one. Imagine. And for the first half, wow. It was real spooky. The type of shit you'd see in a horror movie, like a paranatural haunting might start up at any moment. So, do you believe in spirits? No. Really? Not even a little itsy bitsy bit? No. Really? How cynical. How boring. Well, at the very least, no spirits have shown up in this story yet. That we know of. That was the imitation of thunder, if you couldn't tell. Do you like it? Don't answer, I already know you did. But yeah, for all you know, there's not anybody even inside Thane's mask. The whole thing might be animated by like dead souls or some shit. You don't know. Anyway, this is just me talking, but so far I'm digging this card stack. I got just one problem. It's taking place on a boat. I'm not a boat fan. I hope these scenes don't stay on the boat for very long. They wouldn't, right? That'd get boring soon. What do you think? Let's say in, 2 scenes, you think there'll be 2 more full scenes with Mercury. We'll still be on the boat. I don't think Mercury's gonna last 2 more scenes. Yeah, probably. Really? You really think so? Boy, I hope not. Okay, then why do we actually bet on that? Yeah, no, I don't know why I didn't think of this before now. This is a great topic to bet on. Can't believe I didn't think of that before now. Come on, how much are you gonna bet? I'll bet the last of my chips, I suppose. Okie dokie. Now there's some stakes. Now you can really cheer for Mercury to stay on that boat. Which seems a bit counterintuitive, but whatever. Yeah, gambling makes this way more fun. Alright, let's keep going. Alright, so we need to move to another new one. I mean, we do have a key, so we can open one of the other ones. But I'd like to do the first chapter in every single one if we could first. Let's do the gun one, I suppose. The Unseen. There's nothing like sitting on a toilet with nothing but a stomachache. It's almost nostalgic. It certainly brought back memories. Not good memories, mind you, but those are hard to come by anyways. The point is, it's a familiar feeling. Which is weird, because I've definitely never been in a situation like this. Why was I getting nervous? After some of the shit I've seen, this was nothing. Was it just because of the environment? Fancy parties never did sit right with me. Hell, if we're speaking of bad memories. But no, that's almost certainly not it. So then why? Ugh. I wasn't good at this self-diagnosis thing. I spent so much time in my own head, but I could hardly understand it. My moods often felt arbitrary. And maybe that's what this was. An arbitrary mood. Not a helpful one. But since when had moods been helpful? Sometimes you'd walk into a room and forget where you came. Your body, your mind, it could just be cruel. So what to do? I focused back on my counting. 319, 318, 317, 316, 315. What was so calming about counting? Was it the fact that it was rhythmic? Was it the fact that it was simple? Whatever it was, it did bring me back down to earth. I'd been waiting in the restroom for long enough. The gala was in full swing outside. It was almost time to play my part. Okay, get it together, body. Standing up, Any second now. Any second. My body seemed to resist the impulse to stand up for as long as it possibly could. However, after enough urging, I got to my feet. I left the stall. I began to exit the restroom, and it was at this point the door swung open. Ah, shit. Hey, what are you doing here? I struggled to meet Secretary Ghani's gaze. Secretary Ghani, oh, here we go. We know that name. Even if I didn't know where this conversation was going, I could recognize that tone. Nothing good came from that tone. In my position, it was best to just keep my head down and stay silent. Are you the same guy who come down here like 10 minutes ago? I don't think I didn't see that. Well? Yes, sir, that's me. Ghani chuckled to himself, as if surprised by my gall. Then his face tightened. Wow. I mean, just wow. I guess you might have to take a big shit, but unless you got, like, serious medical issues or something, there's no way in hell you should be in here this long. Seems to me you're just bailing on your duties. That's not what... Hey, yo, did I finish talking? No, sir. I was glad I was wearing a mask, or you would have been able to see my face turning completely red. Man, where do you punks get off? You think just because I'm doing this, I don't have my eyes open? Do you think you can get away with it because, what, I'm dumb or something? Not at all. You know how... I know how I look. But you don't get to be the right hand of one of the most influential people in Panthea by being an idiot. Of course, sir. Whatever. I shouldn't be wasting more of your time. Just get back to work, okay? I will. Once again, the secretary shook his head bewilderedly. Don't play a player, man. I've slacked off long enough to spot a slacker. Without another word, he walked past me into one of the stalls. I awkwardly just resumed washing my hands. Keeping my count while holding my own in that conversation was tricky. I don't know why I got flustered by him so easily. It's not like he really mattered. As I reached for the soap, I thought I heard the sound of a lighter. This moron was really going to light up a joint in here of all places? I mean, I knew he was always high, but this was just ridiculous. Well, I encouraged it. The more blazed he is, the more likely he won't remember this interaction. And that would be a win in my book. After drying off my hands, I put back on my gloves. Because those were so vital to doing my job right. This mask itched. As much as I hate to say it, Governor Ija was a little eccentric for making the staff all wear this getup. Oh my god, are we the one that killed, whoever the fuck died? That old guy? I wasn't exactly sure how I felt about it, but it gave me a natural reason to hide my face. So I saw that as a plus. Finally, I made my way out of the restroom and into the hallway. On the other side of the hallway was the door to the boiler room. I wasn't an architect, but this struck me as a bit of an odd layout. Oh, what did I know? As I walked down the hallway into the gala, I got back to the groove. I'm a waiter. Right now I just have to do my job. 257, 256, 255. As I entered the gala's main room, once again I took a second to admire the opulence of it all. It's not like I had never been in a fancy place before or anything, but it had been a while. The band was in full swing. The music playing wasn't exactly to my taste, but I could certainly appreciate its quality. The guests were all dressed to the nines, all oozed style and class. If you sold the group's wardrobe, you could probably house and feed a family for a year, at minimum. Years? I was bad with calculating money. Point was, it was a lot. The food and drinks all sported impressive price tags. Their tastes probably matched. Or did they? A question crossed my mind. Was this any better than any other party? Did this spacious area really add anything? Was the music more worthwhile than some typical EDM? These expensive outfits looked a lot less comfortable than casual clothes. Some people say that when you're dancing, you're really happy. It didn't take a mathematician to calculate that less people were dancing at this party than did at some rave. So was it worth it? Probably. I was pretty dumb, especially about things like this. On the other hand, rich people tend to be pretty intelligent. They knew more than me. They could do whatever they wanted. And they chose to do things like this. They had for centuries. I always wondered about that. Why do they choose to do things like this? So even though from my perspective, the whole thing felt a bit excessive, I was sure I was missing something. Still, some part of me couldn't help but wonder. Pretty much every person of decent wealth in Panthea stood in this room. The party wasn't particularly cramped. Well, there was probably a reason for that. This sort of thinking was beyond me. I was better for much more simple things. Things like serving drinks. I grabbed a tray and got to work. As I made my way through the crowd, I couldn't help but eavesdrop on particularly loud conversation between two well-dressed ladies. So how are you enjoying the gala so far? It's fine. I can't help but feel like Ija's done better in the past. Well, that goes without saying. Considering everything else about her, it makes sense her parties would also be in decline. Woohoo, burn! Ha, too true. But perhaps that's not her fault. It's been incredibly dull so far. Usually there's some drama. Where's the drama? Wait for some of these men to get more drinks in and then we'll see this party's real worth. Cheers to that. They clink their drinks. Honestly, does Aisha really need to hold these fundraisers? Rumor has it she's already been getting plenty of funding. Besides, it's been over a decade since anyone really gave her a run for her money. Oh, you haven't heard? There's a new candidate for this election. Do tell. Yes, it's some real folksy type. A man of the people. Again? Whatever whips up the masses. At any rate, I've heard he's amassed a reasonable amount of support so far. Was he particularly impressive? Not by my measure, but then again, I suppose he's not really trying to rally me. But really, he's run more of an offensive campaign thus far. He's been pointing out Aisha's inadequacies. How the filthy duets have still been unchallenged. How it's never been worse for small business owners. How the only policies Aisha ever seems to bother passing makes Panthea more isolationist and self-sufficient. That sounds like the brawler guy's friend. Was he running for it? Really going for the jugular, huh? Apparently. And power to him. Someone needs to say it. Aisha's been getting far too self-assured for my liking. Indeed. Honestly, I don't think she's a very good politician at all. And as a person, so pretentious. Seriously, I'm thanking my lucky stars that she hasn't come over to us yet to try and schmooze. That said, you're still going to donate a token amount to it, right? Naturally. Pay my dues and such. It's not worth the hassle doing otherwise. What we put up with. Hear, hear. Another cheers in but so many seconds. Listening on this whole exchange, all I can do is bite my tongue. Forget it. Let's walk away. Honestly, I didn't have time to waste for such petty eavesdropping. Oh, over there. Art was talking with Odin. It was in a hushed tone, but still loudly enough for me to easily overhear the conversation. I'm just saying, this might be an ideal time for you to, you know, retire. I'm not trying to be forceful. I'll just say it, you pansy. I don't recall raising a weak ass. Well, I do recall you raising a workaholic. I'm well aware of your philosophy regarding a man's worth, Odin, which is why I know that I might be coming across as insensitive. You're not coming across as insensitive, you dolt. You're coming across as calculating. You just want me completely out of the picture. And you know me, I respect calculating. God knows your siblings could have used more of that gene. But I've no intention of completely bowing out of the company. Why would I? Well, if you listen, I know your damn sales pitch. It'll be all the typical talking points. I'm already relaxing most of the time. I'm pretty much retired already, only with the bonus of poking my nose into affairs when I want to. So you know, I don't think there's any sense in me giving up my 25% shares of the company. Art sighed heavily. He was well aware of how obstinate Odin could get. I'd be much more understanding if I could get a better sense of where some of your ideas have been coming from. They just don't make sense to me. And that's the problem, isn't it? As good as you are with the details, you've always been completely abysmal at the big picture. So then help me see. Is that how this family ever handled things? You want to know what motivates me? I've given you all the clues. You want to seek the Tremurti? Be my guest. It's a Tremurti. But it's just like everything else. I'm not going to hand that out to you. Especially not that. So you're saying that you do have some sort of agenda? You tell me. There's definitely something more to that story. However, this was neither the time nor place to look into that. And to be frank, probably be best just not to look into Diesmer's business at all. On the other side of the table, Polly was drinking by himself. It was painfully apparent that he'd been drinking for a while. Typical. I could work with that. A few tables away sat Cyrene. She also seemed to be a bit tipsy, but clearly in high spirits. She was a particularly lively conversation with her boyfriend? I was going to guess boyfriend. Most notably, she had an oversized purse hung on the back of her chair. I could see a phone in it from here. This wasn't lucky enough. This specific opportunity presenting itself? Sure, that's lucky. I was on the lookout for opportunities. And the odds that something like this came up was actually pretty high. I made my way by her table. A tray of wine glasses occupied one of my hands, which left one free to swipe the phone in a clean, practiced motion while I passed by. In the corner of my eye, I noticed it was still unlocked, left on some sort of social media. Cyrene was the type of sociopath not to lock her phone at the moment she was done with it. Excellent. Now this was lucky. I continued to wander for a little bit, putting on airs. But for this to work, the timing had to be pretty precise. When I get an opportunity, I stopped, placed the tray down on a nearby table, and stood by the wall. It was a perfect, unassuming moment for a waiter to be checking his phone. Only it wasn't his phone, or my phone. It was Cyrene's. As much as I'd love to snoop, professional. I'm a professional. I opened a messaging app. Quickly I found Polly's contact. Their last texts were more recent than I would have expected. To double check I looked over. Sure enough, both Cyrene and Polly's tables were on this side of the room. So this would work. Judging by Polly's state of sobriety or complete lack thereof, it wouldn't take a lot. Something short, sweet and inciting, sorry. With a slight smirk I typed something up quick. Your brother has a bigger dick than you. That'd do it. Alright, 68, 67, it was time. I picked back up the wine tray with one of my arms. I had the phone in my other hand. My thumb hovered right over the send button, but not yet. Patience. Take things step by step. I moved past table after table. There was Cyrene's. I pressed the send button and a second later, dropped the phone back in her purse. I didn't even bother looking back. If she noticed this little sleight of hand, I was already fucked. But she didn't, because I was a professional. 59, 58. Yeah, like I thought. She hadn't noticed shit. But someone had. The fuck's this about? There you go, Polly. Make an ass of yourself. Again, I didn't need to turn around and know what was happening. The completely inebriated jackass he was, Polly was not going to take that last message lying down. Cyrene and Polly's on, and mostly off again, relationship was incredibly volatile. This wouldn't be the first screaming match the two would get in. This would just be the most public. And the most useful. Now came the main event. On the other side of the room I saw him. If you had seen him, you know what to look for. At a very even keel I made my way over to him. No, not directly over to him. I planned my moves a few steps ahead. I moved circling towards him. He'd be on my arc, but not my final destination. That's how it would appear to the common observer at any rate. This all sounds awfully technical and highbrow for just walking to a person, but I had to put a lot of thought into these minor things. It was the minor things that made or broke these operations. Alright, we're going to wrap this one up here because we're out of time for today. Obviously we're playing as the killer, or if not the killer, then at least the accomplice to the killer from the investigative one. So that's interesting. We're going to be playing on many sides of the story by the look of it. We're all going to join together at some point. I'd love to see how this the ghost ship thing with the ruiner looking man joins into the main story, but I'm sure we'll figure that out in due course. But until then, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for taking it out with me, and I'll see you in the next one.